Some of the most impactful decisions aren't made with complete certainty. They're made with moments that require clarity, confidence, and a deeper sense of direction. In today's business landscape, where complexity is constant, leaders are often called to go beyond traditional thinking and tap into a more intuitive approach to decision-making. Our next session on clearing the past to construct the future, how hyper-intuition shaped the success of Dubai's Regenerative EYWA project. We'll explore how intuition and strategy can come together to drive bold, large-scale innovation. Please join me in welcoming our speaker and silver sponsor, David Karp, healer and author of Truth Whispering. David's work focuses on helping individuals connect with their inner clarity and make decisions with confidence, blending deep insight with practical application. David, the stage is all yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to Las Vegas. I want to thank all of you for being here. Sitting in this room today are CEOs, founders, executives, and builders. And every single one of you carries a weight on your shoulders that most people will never understand. That you make decisions every day that ripple outwards into your companies, your teams, their families, and into the future of whatever you're building. That takes courage, and I respect that. So I'll make you a promise. I won't waste a single minute of your time today. Everything I'm about to share with you comes from over 50 years of my personal exploration, testing, failing, learning, and eventually discovering something that changed my life in ways that I never imagined possible. What if you had a simple, reliable way of knowing, not guessing, not hoping, not analyzing, but genuinely knowing whether something is true or not true in real time? Think about that for a moment. Think about the last partnership you entered that looked perfect on paper, but imploded 6 months later. And what about the hire you made because the resume was flawless, but something about the person never felt quite right? You know what I'm talking about. Now imagine you had a way to check in with your body's intuitive wisdom, quietly, instantly, without anyone knowing, and receive a clear answer, yes or no, true or false. If you had that, you would have what I call a quiet edge. You could move through the business world with a kind of calm clarity that no spreadsheet could ever give you. You'd stop second guessing and you'd start knowing what's true. My name is David Karp. My friends call me Dave. I'm a retired videographer, author, educator, and now truth whisperer. And for the past year or so, I've also been the advisor to one of the most ambitious regenerative development projects currently being built on the planet. EYWA, by Our Evolution in Dubai. But first, let me back up and tell you a little bit about myself. I've spent over 50 years at the intersection of 3 disciplines: healthy living, I'm off a slide. Healthy living, mindfulness, and a deep spiritual practice. I began also to learn how to do intuitive energy healing and soon became certified. That's where I started to practice what I call intuitive response. It reminded me of muscle testing that a chiropractor used to do on me like 40 years ago. And I started to notice that after a while, the intuitive energy work could also be useful in my other 3 practices by asking my intuition, which healthy food should I eat? Which meditation is best for me now? Which mindfulness teacher should I study today? I was able to connect with my internal guidance system in these other practices that I'd been doing for years. The energy healing that I was doing was also helping me to clear up my own past energetic baggage, years worth. And all of these practices were helping to fine-tune my intuition. Eventually, it dawned on me how those 4 separate paths actually converged. And that's when truth whispering was born, a practical, learnable method combining 4 known disciplines that can each be used for fine-tuning your intuition by accessing the body's wisdom that lives inside of us all. And when you combine all 4 of these disciplines into one practice, it's an even more powerful synergy. My first 3 books on truth whispering describe the step-by-step methods and are available on Amazon. The 4th and 5th books are being worked on as we speak. But today, I want to focus on something that speaks directly to the people in this room. What happens when you bring this kind of intuitive clarity and inner body wisdom into a high-stakes, large-scale corporate environment? And I want to use the EYWA project in Dubai as living proof. But let me start with a story that makes the intuition part easier to understand. Imagine that tonight, after this conference wraps up, and you're heading back through the lobby, you run into me. And I stop you and I say, "Thank you so much for coming to my talk today. It means a lot to me. I have a small gift for you as a thank you." And I hand you a beautifully wrapped little box. You smile, you put it in your bag, and you go about your evening. But the next morning, you wake up and you remember the box. Now you're curious. You sit on the edge of your bed and you carefully open it, and inside the box is a watch. But this is not like any watch you've ever seen before. There's only one hand on the face, and there are no numbers. Instead, the dial just has 2 words, true on one side and false on the other. You look at this strange watch, feeling a bit skeptical, but genuinely curious. And half-jokingly, you put it on, and you say out loud, "Can this watch really tell me the truth?" And the hand moves. It swings clearly, decisively to true. You almost drop your coffee. You stare at it, and you shake your head, and you say, "This must be a dream." And then the hand swings back to false. The good news is, you already have that watch, and it's not on your wrist. You can't see it, but you're wearing it right now, and you've been wearing it since the day you were born. It's your body's wisdom, your intuition. It's the extraordinary inner guidance system that your nervous system has been quietly running your entire life, whether you knew how to listen to it or not. In the early years of my healing practice, I learned this method of muscle testing, or it's also called kinesiology. And it's a simple system that gives you yes or no answers from your inner wisdom. Your body really knows the truth. Saying or even just thinking about a statement that is true causes the body to be strong and positively balanced. Saying or thinking about a false statement will cause the body to respond negatively. It weakens, it pulls back. I spent years doing exactly this process for myself and others, and I would find trapped emotions, stored energy stuck in the body from old experiences, old heartbreaks, old patterns. And with a strong intention statement, I could release these energies. And it worked over and over again. And this is what I've been doing for about 15 years now. But then something unexpected began to happen. After hundreds or maybe thousands of sessions, over at least a decade or more, a slow shift started. I would ask the question, and before I could muscle test and see if it was true, I would hear the answer inside. Not the familiar chatter of our lower mind. This was different. A different voice, quieter, clearer, And over time, I learned to tell these two voices apart. The lower mind speaks in worry and urgency. It's loud. This new voice was calm and certain. It's like a whisper. I had made direct contact with what I now call my higher self. It's the intelligence that sits above the noise of our everyday thinking, above the fear, above the static. And I call this state hyper-intuition. Intuition is not just a gift that some few people are born with. It's focused in the gut center. We all have it. It's dormant. Awakening it is the natural result of consistent, focused, intuitive practices and genuinely doing your inner work. However, I came to realize that all 16 methods of intuitive response are really just like training wheels, useful until you can directly connect with your own higher self. But let me give your executive mindset something to hold on to first, because I know who's in this room. In a study conducted out of Yale University, researchers found that 85% of CEOs report using intuition as a significant factor in their major decision-making. 85%. These are Fortune 500 executives. They're not spiritual seekers. And they're admitting that their gut played a role in the biggest calls of their career. There's also a fascinating book called Executive ESP, written by Professor John Michalowski at Newark College of Engineering. He tested executives on their ability to sense patterns and outcomes beyond what logic could explain. What he found was striking. The CEOs who scored highest on the intuitive accuracy consistently ran more profitable companies. And those who scored below that threshold, their companies performed measurably worse. Poor intuition didn't just fail to help, it actively cost them. Steve Jobs said it plainly. Intuition is more powerful than intellect. He walked barefoot through brainstorming sessions because he wanted to stay connected to something deeper than analysis. When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company had 90 days of cash left. Every conventional business instinct said, cut, consolidate, survive. Instead, he made a series of decisions that defied the logic of the room. He killed 400 products and kept 4, and began designing the iMac. Not from the data, but from a deep, unwavering inner knowing about what people needed before they knew they needed it themselves. The rest is history that changed how every person on earth communicates. Tim Cook walked away from a senior role at one of the world's largest computer companies to go work for a struggling Apple, a company Wall Street had written off, because something inside him, beyond logic, told him that was where he needed to be. Every career advisor he consulted thought he had lost his mind. Apple had no future, the analysts said. The numbers made no case for the move. But Cook later said that within 5 minutes of sitting with Steve Jobs, something in him was completely certain. He didn't deliberate, he didn't sleep on it. He accepted on the spot and went to build the most valuable company in human history. Richard Branson has spoken openly for decades about the role gut instinct plays in every major decision he makes. When he launched Virgin Atlantic, every analyst in the room told him the numbers did not work. The aviation industry was brutal, the competition was entrenched, and the odds were stacked against a music entrepreneur with no airline experience. He signed the deal anyway because something inside him said yes before his mind could talk him out of it. And he has said many times since that if he had listened to the spreadsheets instead of his gut, Virgin Atlantic would never have existed. And by the way, I noticed there's a Virgin Hotel down the street now. Okay. Here's what the research continues to show us. Your gut, your actual physical gut, contains over 1 million nerve cells. Oh, pardon me, typo. Over 100 million nerve cells. It produces 95% of your body's serotonin. That's the molecule most associated with well-being and clear thinking. Scientists have begun calling it a second brain. Trust your gut is not just a metaphor. It identifies a real physical center of intelligence. In the truth whispering system, I teach a simple framework. Within each of us, there are 3 centers of awareness. Obviously, the head and the heart and the gut, which I call our 3 homes of awareness. And just like physical homes, each of these inner homes has a completely different environment. And you get to choose where you want to live and when you want to be there. Your first home is in your head. Living in your head is like living in a high-rise city apartment, always busy, always buzzing, full of endless stimulation. The head is your analytical mind, your calculator, brilliant at organizing this dense skyline of information, solving problems, and making plans. But the head is also the home of the lower mind. And the lower mind has one primary job: to keep you safe. And it does this by constantly scanning for threats. It worries backwards into every mistake you've ever made, replaying them over and over. And it panics forward into worst-case scenarios that have not happened yet, rehearsing disasters that may never come. When the lower mind is running at full speed, and for most driven, strong-minded people, it's running almost all day, it creates so much noisy city traffic that it drowns out the quieter, deeper signals trying to reach you. Your second home is in the heart. And the heart is like living in a cozy country cottage surrounded by lush woods and blooming fields, where you can hear the birds sing and you could feel the grounded presence of nature. The heart is where presence lives. It's the place of compassion, of genuine connection, of being fully here in the vibrant moment rather than lost in the past or the future. When a leader operates from the heart, their people feel it. There's a warmth, an authenticity, a quality of attention that makes others feel truly seen. The heart doesn't analyze, it simply feels whatever's true right now. Your third home, your gut home, is like a modern, minimalistic sanctuary, opening entirely to the vast ocean, uncluttered, expansive, with nothing to do but watch the waves and simply be. The gut is where pure knowing lives, not thinking, not feeling, knowing. And it operates beyond time, beyond logic, in a space of absolute clarity. This is the zone that athletes describe when they talk about being in the flow state. It's what great musicians touch when the music is playing them instead of the other way around. And it's what every leader in this room has experienced at least once. That moment when a decision was suddenly completely clear before you could even explain why. Most of the people I've done energy work are operating from a very imbalanced head, heart, gut ratio. They usually are heavily weighted in their heads. This is where the lower mind tends to dominate, constantly calculating, constantly rehearsing. The heart and the gut get much less attention. If, however, you have some kind of breathing, mindfulness, or meditation practice, you may already be closer than you think, perhaps only 50 or 60% in your head. But for most of us, the balance has tilted far from where clarity lives. Through years of working with people on developing their inner connection, I've found the optimal ratio for clear, grounded intuition and effective decision making. Our ideal balance is when 20% of our awareness is focused on the head, 40% in our heart center, and 40% in our gut center. The practice I'm about to show you can help you to spend more of the time in your heart and gut centers. Through consistent practice, the mental noise actually begins to quiet. The truth becomes easier to hear. And eventually, you can also arrive at hyperintuition, the state where you don't need muscle testing to check anymore. You simply know the answer. You feel it or you hear it. And I want to show you how it works, starting right now in this room. I would love to show you what this feels like, to give you a small taste of it if you're willing. So what I'd like to ask is for everybody to stand up, please. Put your stuff down, stand up for a moment. And just for a couple minutes here, so stand relaxed with your feet shoulder width apart and just sort of let your body come to center. Arms at your sides, let your shoulders drop. Now first take a few slow breaths in and out. And as you do this, focus on your heart center, as if your breathing is going in through your heart center and out through your heart center. Let your awareness settle into your chest, into your heart center. Just let it rest there. That's all we need. Now, with your eyes gently closed, say your name out loud, quietly. Say, "My name is," and say your real name. Pay attention to what your body does. For most of you, you felt a very subtle pull forwards. That gentle lean is your body saying yes. Your body is confirming what's true, your truth response, your yes. So now this time, let's try the opposite. Say out loud, "My name is Mickey Mouse." Okay? And as it's not true, many of you may notice a slight lean backwards, perhaps even a subtle loss of balance. Was your weight going back on your heels? That's your body saying no before your mind even had time to think about it. Thank you. You can all sit down now. Thank you. What you just experienced is called the sway test. Okay? It's the most accessible form of intuitive response, and it's the doorway into everything that I teach. Now, I can already hear what some of you are thinking. David, this is fascinating, but I'm not going to stand up in the middle of a boardroom meeting and start swaying back and forth. No, and I wouldn't expect that either. This is exactly why in my first book, I teach 16 different methods for intuitive response. Because we're all different. The point is to find the method that gives you the clearest, most consistent signal, and then to practice it. Now, my favorite for quiet, everyday use is something I call the sticky fingers method. Let me teach you all of this now. You simply rub the pad of your thumb against your index finger, very gently, very naturally. We've all seen people like, "Show me the money." So you're rubbing your fingers like this, and if the answer, oh, by the way, you can have your hand in your pocket or under the table at a boardroom meeting or at your side. So when the answer is yes, your fingers will rub smoothly. Say again, "My name is," or just think it, "My name is," and it's just moving, just normal. Now try again, "My name is Mickey Mouse." And it sort of starts catching. It's very mysterious. There's no way that would be possible, but there it is. A tiny catch, a slight stickiness, as if the ridges of your fingertips are snagging against each other. Now, you can do this while you're looking at somebody directly across the boardroom table. Nobody will ever know. And as you practice consistently, something remarkable begins to happen. your relationship with your higher self that sits above the chatter of the lower mind, it starts to deepen. The conversation between you and your inner guidance becomes more fluid, more natural, and at some point, the answer arrives before you test for it. A quiet knowing. The quiet knowing settles in, so clear, so calm, that you do not need the physical technique anymore. The truth just suddenly arrives. This is what hyperintuition is. When you practice these methods regularly and you become immersed in asking your inner wisdom questions about your health, your mindfulness, your energy, and your spirituality. These are the 4 areas I work on: your health, mindfulness, your energy, and spiritual practice. When you work on all of these and you are asking with muscle testing questions, this immersion itself develops your relationship with your higher self and allows you to make a stronger connection. You even get more intuitive insights and you become more in the flow state. Like that parking spot opening up just as you arrive. These kind of things are just like happening all the time when you're in that state. Now, let me take you inside the project where I was able to use it in an unusual application. A large corporate luxury development company. The story of my involvement with EYWA, however, doesn't begin in Dubai. It begins in India. About a month after my 3rd book was published, I traveled to India on a pilgrimage to attend one of my favorite festivals in the world, the Mahakumbh Mela Festival, the largest gathering of humans on the planet. This was my 12th trip to India and my 4th to the festival, which is a lot because the festival only occurs every 12 years, and this was my 4th one. Based on the maximum alignment of the planets, like when the planets every 12 years, they come to this sort of alignment. It's the same thing in the Chinese calendar. They have a 12-year cycle. So they've been having this gathering in India every 12 years since at least the 5th century. And it's been growing larger. It's the largest gathering of human beings on the face of the planet. Every one I go to is larger than the one before it, exponentially. On the main bathing day, there were 60 million people at this festival. And you can see I'm there in the parade, I'm there hanging out with the monks. You can see a night shot of the festival grounds. About 2 million monks were camping there during the entire 2-month festival on the bank of the Ganges River. These monks are pure souls with little agenda beyond connecting with something greater inside themselves. Just being in their presence is said to lead to enlightenment. And I was sitting in a tent with a group of these monks when a fellow Westerner walked past the tent opening. He was wearing a big hat, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye, but something in my gut told me to jump up and catch up with him. So I did. Within a few minutes, I mentioned my truth-whispering books, and he told me, by what seemed like an impossible coincidence, that he had read my book just the month before, and it had only just been published. And he had this thought, I'd like to meet this guy someday. But running into each other in a group where there's millions of people is just statistically impossible, so it was really meant to be. Now, Alex, this is him at the festival, and he's actually the founder and CEO of Our Evolution. And these are some of the drawings of the building he's working on now. Over 27 years, he's built 23 major development projects across Europe and the Middle East. A man of concrete, steel, and balance sheets. A serious, accomplished builder, but with a deep spiritual sensitivity. I met him at this spiritual festival. So that's a rare and powerful combination. He told me he's creating this building in Dubai called EYWA, with what he described as Generation 5.0 regenerative real estate. It creates a living environment not just to house people, but designed to actively support their health and well-being from the inside out. He calls it the smallest blue zone, the size of a single building. And he invited me to come to Dubai and see it for myself as his guest. Inside the EYWA construction project, they have been embedding 12 tons of crystals, rose quartz, amethyst, tourmaline. They're built directly into the foundation, following the ancient principles of Vastu Shastra. That's the Indian science of spatial harmony, older than feng shui. On the rooftop will be the second largest Lemurian crystal on the planet, helping to heal all of the residents. Here's Alex hugging it before it's installed on the rooftop of Building 1. Faraday cages will be built into every bedroom wall, creating a protected field for rest. In a modern city, we're swimming in electromagnetic interference. In this one, when you close the bedroom door at EYWA and turn on the electromagnetic protection, your phone signal drops to 0. The noise stops. For the first time in years, your nervous system can fully recuperate. The structured water system that they're using in this building is designed to bring the water back to life before it reaches the resident. There's vortexing, there's filtering. They're energizing and changing the voltage of the water so that it matches the human body more. They're treating the water as a living substance rather than a utility. Positive vibrations are played into the water through special speakers to raise its energy. Now, looking back over my experiences in the past couple of years, I can see how my higher self was quietly at work, manifesting this journey to India. I felt like I had to go. I didn't really know why. I didn't have any expectations. And then the encounter with Alex, when I'm just hanging out in a tent along with 60 million people. The invitation to Dubai. I'd never been to Dubai, and I thought, how? Dubai? Okay. It just caught me by surprise. And the 2 months of dedicated work that I did in Dubai with Alex and the company all show how the universe really conspired to unfold these things in the perfect way. Because I was just open, I was in this flow state much of the time, and just whatever naturally was to unfold just all came together. And that brought me here to the conference. Because I realized, oh, it's in Dubai. And I asked Alex, would you like to be a sponsor at this conference? It sounds like it's really be interesting. It's about health. Your building is about health. It's about a lot of the things that you're talking about. So EYWA is one of the sponsors here today and also in Dubai. And we're proud to make our contribution, to share this information, to invite people to copy our ideas, to create your own blue zone buildings. We're not like hanging on to it. We're willing to share with you. Contact us, and we'll help you to build your own buildings that are bringing life and helping people thrive. Just imagine what becomes possible when you learn to use it consciously, deliberately, with precision, using your intuition applied not just to your own life, but to your organization, your projects, your most ambitious visions. You have the capacity to design your own experience, to move from reacting to circumstances to consciously creating them. The shift is this: from being a character in the story written by someone else to picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own story. I've written these 3 books in the Truth Whispering series: Finding the Truth, Knowing the Truth, and Living the Truth. They're available right now on Amazon. The 4th book, Truth Whispering Part 4, Mastering the Quantum Matrix, brings everything together. It reviews the full clearing process from Paradigm 1 and introduces a new Paradigm 2 teaching for creating your future. including the complete philosophy of how both paradigms form a practical and immediate application that you can use. But there are these two paradigms. Clearing the past has to be done first. You have to let go of your childhood traumas, your emotional baggage, before you can begin making statements about your future that will manifest clearly. If you're still holding on to your past self-doubts, how can you manifest a clear future? It'll look great until you're like, well, I don't know, and then it'll all fall apart. So it's really important to do that paradigm 1 cleaning of your past first. Now, book 5 is the companion workbook, the Quantum Matrix Code. It's a complete set of charts and lists that I've been developing over the years with both paradigm 1 and paradigm 2 statements. And it's designed to help you consciously align with the future you're building. Together, they're the full system, and they're coming soon. Now, I've spent 50 years learning to hear the truth. Not someone else's version of it, not the version that keeps you awake at night, but the truth that lives in that quiet space above all that noise. The truth your body already knows. Every single person in this room has felt it, and it's available to you, not occasionally, not in random flashes, but consistently, reliably, whenever you choose to become a truth whisperer. Over the next few days, I'll be at the conference. I'll just be around. If you have a question, a decision you've been circling for weeks, a person you're trying to read, a deal that feels off and you can't explain why, come find me. I'd be honored to sit with you for a few minutes and show you how to access the answer from within your own inner knowing. And if you want to begin right now, you can buy my books on Amazon or scan the code on the screen to explore my website, where you can sign up for more information, book a personal life reading from me, or consider bringing the truth-whispering energy to your company or organization. What I want every person in this room to do is very simple. Stop guessing. Start knowing. Not because someone told you what the answer is, but because you found it in yourself, with an inner connection that belongs only to you. And remember this, whether we speak again or not, follow your heart. Trust your gut. And if you're not sure, ask your higher self. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.